Howdy ho, everybody. Welcome back to the Rocks Roost and another live stream. That's right. We are going to be playing a game that is near and dear to my heart. We are going to, let me make a small adjustment here. We're going to crop off the top of the window there so you don't have that distracting. There we go. That looks better. All right. I still have the distracting thing, but you don't. Anyway, it's time for some Dungeon Crawl Stone Soup, a game that's near and dear to my heart and is incredibly difficult to play. I've played this game since 2012, I guess, somewhere around that time. It is a game that is a very traditional roguelike. We're going to be crawling through a dungeon and searching for a mythical item called the Orb of Zot. The object of the game is to go to the bottom of the dungeon, get the orb, come back out. But of course, it's not as simple as that. There's a great many monsters and other fun things in our way in between time. The game is in active development. It has been for many years. The version we're going to be playing today is version 18 or 0.18. The current version, I believe, is 0.32. You can play online or you can download it and play it locally. We're playing an older version today just because I thought it might be fun to do a little crawl history. And we're going to be playing a simple combination today. So hopefully I won't splat. There's permadeath. Okay, again, this is a traditional roguelike, so we want to avoid splatting if at all possible. Hello, HP. Welcome. How are you today? So the first thing you want to do when you boot it up, again, this game is completely free to either play online or offline, as it were. We're going to select Dungeon Crawl. Excuse me. First thing you want to do now is choose your species. You can see here there's a list of, I believe, 26 species to choose from. Each of them has their own aptitudes. If you want to see what those are, you can press the % key, which is Shift 5, and you will get this big long list of aptitudes. And you can read this, in your own time. But essentially, what you want to look for here is if we look here at the top, it tells us what the general meaning of the -5 to +5 means. Okay, so I mean, it's pretty obvious, right? The higher the plus, the more quickly that skill will be learned, and the lower the negative, the slower, right? Various things. We'll get into this a little bit more. This is kind of overwhelming if you're a new player, but this gives every single aptitude of every single species in the game, which is quite a lot. So if you are totally new to the game, what you want to do is you want to be a Minotaur, all right? And then you got to choose your background. So this is kind of like your class in D&D. Gail Wolf, how are you doing? Good to see you. Welcome. Yeah, I love this game. This is the version 0.18. This is from 2016, I think. So this will seem a little bit different from what you're used to. The current versions of the game, it is still in active development, are way different than this. But this version is simple. There's not a lot of hoi polloi. It doesn't have the streamlining that incentivizes players, particularly new players, to play fast and loose, which I think is a big mistake in this game. Today we're going to play an easy combo. We're going to play a MiBe, which means Minotaur Berserker. But if you want to play along, you can choose, any background and species that you want. If you're totally new to the game, I highly recommend starting with a MiBe, though. The highlighted backgrounds are the ones that are recommended by the game, but we could choose any. I mean, you could be a MiBe wizard, but you'd probably lose because Minotaurs are really bad at magic. So we're just going to be the Berserker, and that means that we're going to start worshiping a god, which gives us a hugely powerful start. We're also going to start with a hand axe as our weapon, because axes have a special ability called cleave, which means when you have monsters, more than one monster engaged in melee with you, if you swing on one monster, every monster has a chance of getting hit. Yeah, the Conan approach. MiBe HP, MiBe. Hold on, or BE. Oh, phone's ringing. Just a minute. What do you want to? What do you want to guess? It was a scammer. Anyway, yeah. Yeah, back in the good old days. So MI is Minotaur, BE is Berserker. It's just shortened to MiBe. You may be able to see it up top here. It's kind of hard to read. It's Minotaur Berserker. We're going to choose the axe because we get the cleaving. All right. And the name, of course, is Rock, R-O-C. You can leave it blank, hit enter, and it'll create a random name for you. Again, this being a roguelike, it's all about procedural generation. No worries, my friend. So here we are in the dungeon. To familiarize you with what's going on, we'll start up here in the upper right corner. So we have the name, Rock the Chopper. This name is dictated by your weapon of choice. Minotaur, of course, that's our species of Trog. Trog is our god. And you notice there is one asterisk here, and there are 5 dots. All right, so that means that we have 1 pip of piety out of a possible 6. We'll talk more about the god in just a minute. Health, 19 out of 19 hit points. This green bar tells us our relative health. Magic, 0 of 0. You start with 0 because you're just a big dumb Minotaur. Armor class is 2. Now, this works like modern D&D in that the higher the number, the more armor you have. It's not like 2nd edition where your armor, or 1st edition even, where you want this number to be low. We want this number to be high. EV is your evasion rating. SH is your shield rating, which is 0 because we have no shield. XL is experience level, 1st level. Next means this actually counts. Does it count up or down? I hardly ever pay any attention to this. I think this is a percentage, if I remember right. As we kill monsters, this will give us the percentage of our travel to the next level. So like if it says 96%, that means we're 96% of the way to level 2 or whatever the next level is. Pretty sure that's how it works, but we'll see it in action here in a minute. Gold, 0. A, we have the hand axe and we have nothing quivered. So you can throw all kinds of things in this game. Which we'll see that in a little bit also. And our stats, strength 21, big, dumb, strong Minotaur. Intelligence 4, there's the dumb part. Dexterity 9, not the greatest in the world. Our location is Dungeon 1. And the time elapsed, there's 2 time factors here. The 0.0 is total time spent in the game. And the time in parenthesis is the time of the last action. All right. Below that, we have a mini map in this area here. And you notice as I mouse around on the mini map, you see a red reticule appearing if it's out of bounds, or a yellow reticule appearing if I mouse in the inbounds area. You see it right there. It's over my character. It's hard to hold it still, but so this corresponds to the real dungeon, and you can use this to move around. I highly recommend you don't use it. So you see the walls here. You see the red, that is the lava, and the pink thing, the magenta tile there, that's that downstairs. It's actually a hatch. We'll talk about that in a little bit also. Below this, we've got the monsters. If there were any monsters in view, they'd show up right here. Okay. Then we have A for abilities. You can see them here, and you can click these to engage them, but I don't. The best way to do abilities is to press the A key. So let's do that now. Let's actually, no, let's not look at the abilities first. Here is a whole bunch of UI stuff for the point and click interface that I think nobody uses. And here is our inventory. We have a bread ration, we have an animal skin, and we have a +0 hand axe. So very little armor as evidenced by the 2 AC. And we have a hand axe, which is a crappy weapon, but everybody starts with a crappy weapon. You can also view your inventory by pressing I. You'll see it here. Way back when, in older versions of Crawl, you had to worry about weight. So different items had different weight values, and they were arbitrary units, aughts, AUT. In this version and all current versions of Crawl, you just have to worry about slots. So everything takes up an equal slot. You have 52 slots, and that's all you get. Also in older versions, it mattered like what your strength was and that kind of thing. But this version 0.18 was in kind of the earlier days of a lot of streamlining. A lot of people would argue the main streamlining effort started with version 16, but I mean, it's always up in the air, right? All right, so that's your inventory. Press escape to go back. Abilities. Now, our abilities are tied to our god, but we also want to check our innate abilities. So to look at innate abilities, you press Shift A on the keyboard. And we see here it says innate abilities, weirdness and mutations. You reflexively headbutt those who attack you in melee, and you have a pair of horns on your head. This is a big deal. This makes the MiBe extremely strong. A Minotaur Berserker, very, very strong, because they have an auxiliary attack, and they also have a kind of like a riposte. There's a thing called a riposte, but this is kind of an innate riposte in that we can headbutt things that attack us. It doesn't matter whether they miss or not. And you have a pair of horns on your head, which means you can get an auxiliary attack from those anytime you attack. So again, this makes the Minotaur very, very strong. And we'll have this throughout the game, assuming we don't get mutated and changed horribly in ways that are unmentionable. But that's a thing. Lowercase a, these give us our god abilities. We have Berserk, which only costs hunger. You can see the name of the ability is in this column. The cost is here. The failure rate is here. So we cannot fail any of these abilities. Because we're playing an ancient version of Crawl, we have the burn spellbooks option for Trog. This can be used tactically, and I'll explain how later. Trog hates magic. That's his whole shtick. He's all about melee and physical prowess and might. He hates magic. He hates training spellcasting. He hates training spell schools. So as long as we don't do that, we won't upset him. And God Wrath is a thing in the game. Gelwolf says, what I remember clearly from this game is the Abyss. Oh yeah, the Abyss is a place that you definitely don't want to end up in until you're sure you want to be there. But once you're sure you want to be there, it actually can be quite fun. It's when you accidentally end up there that's usually the problem. Berserk. So what does berserking do? Burn spellbooks, I think, is pretty obvious what it does. If we were to press A right now, we would go berserk. There's no point in doing that because it does cost hunger. There is a food clock in this version of the game, not so in new versions. We want to press the exclamation point to toggle between selection and description. So now we're going to describe the berserk. It says it sends the user into a berserk rage. Going berserk temporarily increases health, speed, and damage dealt in melee. It will time out quickly outside of combat. So if we're not smacking things, it will time out super quick. But may be extended by multiple kills. While berserk, almost all actions other than movement and melee combat are prevented. Such a rage is followed by deep exhaustion, during which the user is slowed and cannot berserk again, and occasionally may even pass out. And this ability costs a boatload of hunger. Okay. So Berserk is a very powerful ability, but it's very much a double-edged sword. Yeah, most people don't want to be in the Abyss. And most characters actually never want to be in the Abyss, but that's another topic for another time. We'll talk about it, but hopefully it'll be sooner than later. Or I mean later than sooner. The Abyss is a place full of terrible, terrible horrors. Final thing on the user interface that I want to point out is the log down on the bottom left there. It says, "Welcome, Rock, the Minotaur Berserker. Will you be the one to retrieve the fabulous Orb of Zot from the depths? Trog says, kill them all." So Trog likes it when we kill stuff. Yes. Yeah, so it's very similar to the D&D Berserker. Yes, HP is very similar. Press question mark for a list of commands and other information. And if you're new, you can do that. Let's do it. There it is. Now, this goes into an enormous amount of detail. I highly recommend reading it, but if you just follow along with what we're going to be doing here, you should be fine. Okay. Found a staircase. Oh, no, I'm sorry. We found a robe. We see the robe. He is right there. We can't get to it because it's surrounded by some lava. An intensely hot pool of molten rock emitting clouds of sulfurous smoke. We found an escape hatch in the floor. Escape hatches can either go up or down, but they're one way. So you usually only want to use them in an emergency situation. Found a staircase leading out of the dungeon. That's where we're standing. We could go right back out that staircase now and end the game, but of course that would be a loss, really, because we don't have the Orb of Zot. One more thing before we move. I know I've been going on and on now for 17 minutes. Good Lord. But this is very important. This game gives you very fine control over your leveling process. It's called skilling. So we press M, like M for monster, but not monster. M for skills, or I'm not sure why it's M, but it is. Lowercase letter M, like M for monster, brings up our skills. The game has an auto skill mode that I've never seen anyone use. It works kind of like in Kenshi, right? So if you use it, you level it. If you don't use it, you don't level it. So this is a problem. Let's see. So you don't want to use the auto mode. You want to use manual mode. So press the / that's the one next to the question mark to change to manual mode. Maybe in the future, my friend. Okay, so now we want to choose the skills. You can see in the brown there, the 25% training. Now look at the aptitude for the Minotaur. Melee or martial skills are on the left. Magic skills are on the right. Well, generally magic. Stealth is not magic, but so you see he's got -4 spellcasting. So a Minotaur wizard would probably be a stupid combination unless you're really wanting to be like do a challenge run. And then that would be, thing to do. But if you're just trying to win, it would be stupid to be a Minotaur wizard, but we're not. We're a Minotaur Berserker. So we're working on fighting, axes, armor, and dodging. Incidentally, one of the reasons why you don't do auto mode is you have no control over how much armor and dodging skill gets trained, really. Well, you don't have control over anything, but it never seems to train your defenses as much as you'd like it to in auto mode. So always go manual. Because we got +2 for fighting, +2 for axes, +2 for armor, +1 for dodging, I'm going to train all 4 skills at once, but I usually recommend training only 1 or 2 skills at once. We're going to focus axes by pressing B. You see now it turned blue and there's a little asterisk. So now we're dumping 40% of our experience into axes, 20% each in fighting, armor, and dodging. That should be fine. We'll train axes up to at least 18. We can't set a skill target in this version of the game as you can in later ones. Okay, so that's good. We're back out. Yes, we're good. Now it's time to start dungeon crawling. You move with the numpad. 8 is up, 2 is down, 4 is left, 6 is right. And then, of course, the diagonals are 1, 3, 7, 9. So let's go. Let's just walk into the unknown. This is actually a pretty good entrance vault, because if we get something that we can't handle, which is unlikely on D1 with a Minotaur, we can just kite them around this lava, because most monsters are the same speed as us, which means that, you can just kite them around and around till your health regenerates, and then you can smack them again. You can't do that in new versions of Crawl because they have attacks of opportunity, so that's kind of a bummer. Let's see, before we go that way, let's go this way. All right, so I took one more step than I should have, and I have paid for it. We have a giant cockroach, which is not a huge threat, but we do have a hobgoblin. And if we look down here at the log, it says, the hobgoblin comes into view. It's wielding a club. The hobgoblin shouts. Thankfully, we did not hear any shouts back, which means there's probably not anything else coming from the black, but that's always a possibility. Goblins and hobgoblins and orcs love to shout when they see you, so keep that in mind. The giant cockroach, not a huge problem, but one thing you want to do with this game is you want to go to examination mode if you don't know about a monster. Let me get that out of the way. Examination mode is lowercase x. All right, so now we have this reticule, and now if I move, it moves the reticule, not my character. So we go over to the cockroach, and we press V for view, lowercase v for view, and it says a giant cockroach, a big brown insect that makes a nasty hissing noise. Contrary to popular myth, they are in fact quite susceptible to mutagenic energies. Fascinating. It has no AC. So again, looking here, it has 2 pips of EV, so it's a little bit squirrely, kind of hard to hit. It has no magic resistance. That's good to know too. It looks easy. Now, the game can lie to you here. It might look easy. It doesn't always mean that it is. The cockroach can cause a problem for weaker species, like and weaker class, like some types of casters might have trouble with a cockroach because it is fast and it is small. Fast means you cannot do what I just was talking about. You can't run around the lava or what's called pillar dancing. You can't go around and around a wall, a section of wall, and regenerate your health because it will constantly get bites in on you because it's faster than you. It has okay evasion, and it's very small, which that plays into the evasion. So not a top tier threat, but certainly a threat. If you were a caster, you'd probably be worried right now because not only do we have this thing, but we have the hobgoblin barreling down our throat. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a step back, get back into the known. Okay. And here is the power of the Minotaur. It is like a rad roach. Yeah. Good one, Gailwolf. Very similar. The Minotaur, if we look at the log here, the giant cockroach closely misses you. So again, it's faster than us. So as we moved back, it got a swing on us, but it did miss, thankfully. And we furiously retaliated. We headbutted it and we killed it. We didn't even have to swing on it. And there's its corpse. Now, we still got this guy to deal with. Now, we could XV him like I showed you before, but we could also hover over him with the mouse and right-click to bring this up as well. I recommend playing with the keyboard as much as possible because it slows you down, and slower play is better play. A hobgoblin, larger and uglier than a goblin, with an even worse temper to match. They're just stronger. This is mostly just flavor text, so this isn't going to tell you a whole lot. Many foolish young adventurers have underestimated the danger of crossing a hobgoblin and played for it with their lives. Much like the cockroach, we have no AC, we have no magic resistance, we have a little bit of EV. Easy, it looks easy, it is intelligent. This plays into spell casting. like spells like confuse or confusing touch. If we right click, it also gives us the quote. We didn't do this with the cockroach, but there's always like a literary quote associated with almost everything in the game. This one is from Waldo Emerson. A foolish consistency is the hobgoblin of little minds, adored by little statesmen and philosophers and divines. It really doesn't have anything to do with the game, but you know, it's just flavor, you know. But the worst problem is we see here that he is, in this version of the game, it doesn't tell you. But if we XV, yeah, here we go. Down here, we have it there. It says at the bottom, a hobgoblin wielding a club. Now, a hobgoblin's base damage, one of the important things about this game is knowing what kind of damage to expect incoming. Now, we're playing an old version that tells us diddly squat, really. A hobgoblin's base damage is something like 6. Again, with a Minotaur, we don't need to worry about it too much because this is a very popcorny enemy, but it's something like 6 plus the club. Well, what does the club do? So this is where we do the old question mark. Let's see, question mark slash. We type I for item, and we type club. It brings up a club, a heavy piece of wood. Base accuracy 3, base damage 5. So Hobgoblin's base damage is something like 6, I think. I could be wrong about that, but again, for this monster, it's not super important. Base damage 5. So you got 5 plus 6, that's 11. This game has a lot of weirdness to it because it's very, and I just closed it. Oops. Whoopsie. Let's go back. There we are. It auto saves, so you don't have to worry about that. It has weirdness. So 5 plus 6 is 11. One of the weirdness about this game is you always subtract 2 if a monster has a weapon. So the most damage per turn we could get here is 9, but we still want to be careful, so we bring him all the way back into the known. To pass a turn, press the period key. Let him come to us, and then we swing. We swing by pressing the direction toward the monster. So it's like bumping, right? One swing and he's dead. But we missed with the swing. If you look here, you barely missed the hobgoblin. Your headbutt misses. Then the goblin completely misses you. And then we retaliate and headbutt again. And that takes him down. If you ever want to read the entirety of your log, because this is truncated, press Control P. Like for print. Control P for print. That prints the log. This will show the entirety of the log since the beginning of the game. And once it gets very, very long, you can scroll through it all the way back to the very beginning. Okay. Now, we've done well. We could pick up the club, but we're not going to. You see here, there's a hobgoblin corpse. This game has a hunger clock. We want to press C for butcher or chop. Chop up the corpse. We get 3 chunks of flesh. You might think, well, I want to go ahead and eat that just to be safe. If you press E for eat, it'll ask you which item to eat. If you press F for chunk of flesh, it'll say you aren't quite hungry enough to eat that. So you have to be super hungry to eat the flesh. So we've done pretty good. You can butcher the roach as well. We're getting 2 chunks out of that. So now we got 5 chunks. They do rot over time. Okay, we have scrolls. We got 1 scroll. Sometimes they'll be in stacks of 2 or 3 also. Okay, we have 3 different scrolls, and notice they're labeled with gobbledygook. We don't know what they do. The only way to know what they do is to read a scroll of identify or to just read ID them. Let's go back this way. Aha, here we go. A kobold, and he is asleep. Kobold, he has a club, so that's 6 damage. No, 5 damage. We know that from before. All clubs are the same. This is very similar to the hobgoblin. only kobolds are small, but similar EV. Now, you notice the EV is in parentheses, and it says normal EV. That means EV when he's awake. Right now, he's asleep. So his EV is 0. Whenever a monster is paralyzed or asleep, you will see the little Z's above the tile, the character tile. And that means their EV is 0. You could go in and get what's called a stab, which would just instantly kill the monster or deal heavy damage. Andrea Mancini, hello. Welcome to the stream and the chat. Good to have you. Now, we could risk walking towards this enemy, but our stealth is terrible because we're, big, dumb, clunky Minotaur. So what I'm going to do instead, and this is being hyper cautious, but if you're just starting out, you don't know the game, I highly recommend you do this, is press the X for examine, move your reticule over the monster, press E. That creates an exclusion. Now you will not walk into that monster's line of sight. Line of sight is very important in this game. It is reciprocal, meaning that if you can't see the monster can't see you. The reason I'm excluding him is I don't know what's beyond him. Let me move this. There could be something truly horrific past the monster that would wake up if I just charge in there. I could also shout to wake him up and get him to come to me, but I don't know what else is going to be coming. On the first floor of the dungeon, you could be looking at, and I shouldn't have walked straight toward that. You could be looking at a pack of jackals, which could decimate even a Minotaur. But here's a new monster. This is the old giant gecko. We do what we always do. We XV when we see a new monster. This is like all the other monsters we've encountered, can possibly have 2 pips of EV, but no AC, no MR. Let's see. It looks easy. It's cold-blooded, may be slowed by cold attacks. It is fast. It is very small. So again, not a monster you can run away from. We're going to go for the quote-unquote stab. We have an axe. We probably will wake it up, but we'll see. We'll violate my own rules here because, again, popcorn monster. Hey, it's still awake. Clinging, resting, if you look at the log down there. Now we're going to swing on it. Notice the log at the bottom of the screen. The helpless giant gecko fails to defend itself. This means you got what's called a stab, even though we're using an axe. You hit the giant gecko, you headbutt the giant gecko. So we actually got 2 hits there. You kill the giant gecko, Trog accepts your kill. And of course, we butcher the corpse to add insult to injury. And we continue on. So thinking, we put the exclusion here. We're going to get a better angle on this kobold probably. If nothing else, we're likely to go around here and find another way into this big room and see if in fact there are any monsters that could give us trouble. You only get to die once in this game, so be careful. Now, here is a corner. All right. This is probably a single tile hallway going right down into this big room, probably. But we don't know that for a fact. We could walk over here, taking 1 turn and then 1 turn down. In walking over here, we'd be able to see what's over here. In this case, I would recommend doing that, going here and then here. But you can move diagonally. But that's going to put us possibly in danger. There could be a monster right there. So let's avoid that by walking to the west. It was a single tile hallway, but never hurts to be safe. All right, so we're going to approach our kobold down here. And you see we're in a much better situation to deal with him. Because now we have explored this part of the room. So in fact, I'm going to go here and remove the exclusion by pressing X. Press E 1 time, and you see there's still an X over him. That reduces the exclusion to the specific tile, which is good for closing off a little hallway or a door that you don't want to go through. when you do something called auto explore. We'll talk about when I'm ready to do that. Auto exploring is not something you should do in the beginning of the game, or really ever. So he's awake now. He saw me because our stealth is terrible. And it says the kobold shouts. But again, we did not hear any shouts back. So the move here is to try to stay in the known as much as possible. So we could walk this way, which would actually expose us to some unknown region here. This is all unexplored. And again, if you want to know if a tile is unexplored or not for sure, mouse over the black areas in the mini-map, and the reticule will show you what that corresponds to. We could also walk up and to the right. So let me just go into this. We should also walk this way or back up toward the way we came out. That's also getting us close to here. He could always shout again, and it might wake up more things. So the move here is actually to go up and to the right. We're sure we're going to beat this kobold and get into this corner. Make him come to us by waiting. Never, ever walk toward a monster if you can help it. And now we're going to swing. All right, we missed him. The headbutt misses, and he got a hit in on us. So we lost 1 point of health. Not a problem. We'll swing again. His EV is doing some work for him. But 3 swings, and he's out. 3 strikes. You kill the kobold. Trog accepts the kill. Now, the unfortunate thing about kobolds is if you look down here, the corpse, it is an inedible corpse. It tells us in the log there. We can also right-click on it. The corpse, you can butcher it to produce chunks of meat, but this meat is toxic. Oh, well. We can also get his club, but again, we don't need it. We need to rest. So to do that, you press the 5 key on the number row. And that will rest until one of 3 things happens. 1, a monster comes into view. 2, you heal completely, both health and mana. Or 3, 100 turns pass. So we press 5. We're back. It took 3 turns. If you look here, last action is in the parentheses. 3 turns got us back to full health. So we're good to go again. Huzzah. Huzzah. We are better than the kobold. We showed him. So let's just soldier on here. To get us some gold, you notice the gold had a green box around it. That means it's set to auto pickup. Ah, nice. We just found our first piece of halfway decent armor. So let's walk toward it. Don't get so excited when you see something that you just charge in and don't pay attention to what's going on, because a monster could swoop in and kill you. It's important to know that this game is turn-based. I guess that's probably obvious, but I don't think I said it. You could sit here like this forever. As long as I don't take an action or take a turn, the game could just sit like this. So if you're in a tough situation and you don't know what to do, just wait. I mean, you could save and quit the game, come back in 3 years when you figured out what to do, and then execute it, okay? The biggest thing that kills people in this game is playing too fast. And this is one reason why we're playing an old version of the game. The modern versions of the game incentivize you to play fast and loose. And I think it's a really good way to get killed. Right, as Gale Wolf says, rushing to your death. And we got some ring mail here. That's going to help us go a little bit more slowly to our death. So we need to pick this up. So we press G for get. That picks it up. And you see in the log here, it's assigned the letter H to a ring mail. Now this could be cursed because we just found it on the dungeon. If we right click here on it, it gives us the base armor rating of 5, which is good. An encumbrance rating of 7, meaning if we have at least a strength of 7, we should be fine to wear this. It will give us 5 AC. And we could also enchant it up to +5 if we had the scrolls to do that. We're going to go ahead and put it on. I mean, it could be like cursed -3. Yes, it's turn-based strategy roguelike. That explains it exactly, HP. We're going to press Shift W to wear, and we're going to press H for the ring mail and hope it ain't cursed. No whammies. Yes, it's not cursed. It's +0. And most things you find on the dungeon are +0. If this had possibly been enchanted, it would have had a different tile. Well, we don't need the animal skin anymore, so we're going to press D for drop and B for the animal skin. Press enter. Sayonara, you piece of crap. Time to move on with our life. All right, here's a giant gecko who's not asleep. Let's just back up. He's faster than us, so he'll catch us eventually, but let's, this is probably good. We'll wait on him here. We'll swing, and he goes down like a sack of potatoes. Ba-dum, 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 ba-dum. AC is, that's a really good question. How does AC work? Okay. There's two things to factor in here when you're looking at AC. Basically, the higher the number, the more protection you are given from physical damage. It only takes into account physical damage. However, beyond that, at least in versions of the game up to, I think, version 26 or 27, you'd have to look this up to be sure, but up to a relatively recent version, the current version is 0.32. You would have what's called GDR, guaranteed damage reduction. That is based on the type of armor you have. So ringmail has a GDR of some value, and I'm not sure what it is. You just kind of, with this game, you just sort of fly by the seat of your pants to some degree with these sort of things. With a pure melee guy like this, know that you're getting better GDR from ringmail than you would the animal skin. And better again, if you get scale mail, better again with chainmail, and then plate mail, and then crystal plate mail would be the capstone. We may not be, we'll guarantee to get plate mail in this run. Crystal plate is pretty rare. So there's a guaranteed damage reduction based on armor type, at least in the version we're playing. And then, of course, your actual AC value. Now, if we look at this piece of armor, let's look at it again. Its base armor rating is 5. Well, base. Okay, well, what would increase that? Well, there's two ways to increase it. You could enchant it, and that would give you a +1 every time you enchanted it, and we can go up to +5. But the other thing that's going to affect this, if we go press M for our skilling, is our armor skill. Every time we increase this, I don't think it goes by level per se. Like at level 3, I don't think we'd get a point of AC, but it increases roughly as you increase this skill. You will also increase your AC, and whenever that gets to be a whole number, it will show up here. So pretty shortly, we will we'll see an AC go up to 6. So it is basically a subtraction system, and this is the long, complicated answer to your question. It is basically a subtraction section, but the actual calculus involved is a little bit more complicated than that. Now, the game is open source, so you could download the code and do some code diving and figure out exactly what it is. What we just hit was a teleport trap. Sometimes you see those in advance, sometimes you don't. It will just teleport you randomly somewhere else in the dungeon, or on the level, rather, that you're on. They can be super dangerous. In this case, it wasn't too bad. All right, so let's open this door and check that place out. All right, here's some food. And look at this. We're very lucky. We just found some chainmail. Let's get that. So we've got an instant armor upgrade, assuming it's not cursed. So we pick it up. It assumes it assigns the letter I to the chainmail. We're going to Shift W to wear it. We're going to press I. It's also not cursed. Nice streamer's luck. Drop the H, ringmail. So we're already up to AC 8. You notice our EV goes down also. The crawl wiki, I think, has a lot of the calculations in it, I think. But the wiki also has some incorrect information, so you have to kind of take it with a grain of salt. The best thing to do would be to code dive, figure it out that way. Now this kobold, he shouted. We don't hear any shouts back, but he threw a stone. The stone hits us, and did no damage. The way to deal with this guy is to just shut the door and wait. Press 5 to wait. Remember, it'll wait until you heal, you pass 100 turns, or a monster comes into view. So that forced the kobold to come on up to the door. That's the way the enemy AI works. No monster is just going to wait on you to open the door. We walk forward, we headbutt him, and he dies. Now, what's good to get here are the rocks or stones. These can help us deal with situations where the monster is like asleep, and we want to get his attention without necessarily shouting ourselves, which we can do. We throw a rock at a monster, especially if it's asleep, it will do a lot of damage. It's guaranteed to hit the monster. It's not guaranteed to do damage, but a monster that's asleep or paralyzed is guaranteed to be hit by an attack. We also got, another thing is, instead of just passing turns, waiting on a monster to come to us, you can throw rocks at them the whole time they're coming towards you and maybe get rid of them before then. Yeah, do some diving, HP. I'd love to know the answer to that question. The complete damage formula, I do not know. We're going to grab these tomahawks. They are also thrown items, but they'll do more damage than the rocks. If we go to our skills, we see that letter D here is throwing. We could actually train some throwing. I'm not going to yet. You do need to train a auxiliary skill on a Minotaur, i.e. some other way to do damage besides just your weapon, preferably ranged. So we'll either train throwing or slings, possibly if we find a sling, or we'll train evocations. Evocations is magic wands. That's something we can use, and Trog won't get upset if we use that. Yeah, I understand that, Gale Wolf. It's always tough to find time to fit extra things in, eh? Well, I'm feeling kind of confident now. I think I will auto-explore and just show you how that works. If you press O on the keyboard, lowercase o, it will automatically wander through the dungeon for me until it finds something significant. In this case, it's a bat. Bats are very squirrely. It's strange that it only has 2 pips of EV. I would have thought it would be more. They're very evasive. It is tiny. It's flying extremely fast. It says it looks easy, and it is for our character. Now, bats have what's called batty movement. They won't always just move in a straight line, one tile to the next. They sometimes fly around. So let's take a swing at the bat. And you see how he instantly just jumped up to the right? We did a good chunk of damage there. We're going to throw a rock at him. If you look over here on the upper right corner, we have the stones quivered because that was first throwable we picked up, so we automatically quivered them. To throw or fire an object, you press F to fire. You can press enter, and it will throw it in the direction of the bat. If it misses, it would just keep going. If there's more monsters in here, you would want to hit enter, but there's not, so we're going to hit period, which means the rock will stop right at the bat. Didn't hit the bat. The bat actually regenerated some HP. Damn it. We'll swing. He's dead. We butcher his corpse. Yeah, I know what you mean, Gale Wolf. I have a backlog that is just ridiculous. All right, another goblin hasn't seen us. Let's throw a rock in his face. We'll just pelt him with stones as he comes near. See, he was about half dead when he got to us. All right, for here, I'm going to stop auto-exploring, and it's a good thing I did. Dart slug and a giant newt. 2 new enemies. Dart slug, it's slow, but it throws the slug dart. And the slug dart, we press A, fires a sharp dart of hardened chitin. with a range almost all the way across the screen. That can do a whole lot of damage. We've got that sweet chainmail GDR, so we don't need to worry about that too much. So we just back around the corner here. Remember, line of sight is reciprocal. So now he can't see us. We press 5 to wait. The newt comes in first because he's faster. We get lucky with a rock. We kill it. Press 5 again. The slug shows up. We immediately close range. You see, he hit us with the dart. And it did 4 damage. Even with Chainmail's GDR. Chainmail GDR, I can't remember what it is, but if he did 4 damage to us, if also factoring in our ADV, that must mean he rolled max damage, I'm pretty sure. So if you weren't armored, we would have been taken down to about 1/4 health with that hit. But we're going to be fine. So we're just going to swing on him again, swing on him again, swing on him again, and again. We finally got him. He only got 1 hit on us there. And we're going to butcher these corpses. C to chop up the corpse. We're going to press E for all edible corpses. And we got 4 chunks of flesh. We're going to press 5 to wait. Never start moving until your hit points and mana are all the way back to full. All right. There is a cockroach again. I'm not throwing the rocks. Just don't know why. I just wasn't. They're so evasive, it probably wouldn't hit anyway. Pile of gold and a snozcumber. Although it's just called a ration in this version of the game. If we go to the E screen, you see I've got meat ration, bread ration, chunks of flesh. Things used to be separated out in every individual thing they were, and they just cluttered your inventory. This thing here is a snozcumber. I don't think it's still in the... No, it just says 3 fruits. Yeah. Anyway. Little rolled doll lore there. Rat. Another popcorn enemy. We get the fruit. There's some crossbow bolts. We're probably not going to go crossbows with this guy. Let's get these scrolls and the gold. Let's auto explore again. Now, there's the old slug dart again. What do? We back up, go around the corner, reduce line of sight. We wait, we walk up, and we smack him in the face. And that's how you do that. That also works for centaurs, although centaurs are a hell of a lot more dangerous. Okay. Pelt him in the face as he comes near. Smack him down. All right. That almost has the floor explored. Not quite. There's another little area over here. One thing about this version of the game, too, it's old enough to have back spawns, which means that if we just hang around here forever, monsters will just keep spawning forever. So you do kind of need to hurry up. I mean, you don't have to rush, but don't fiddle fart around either. When I finish a floor... It says partly explored, can't reach some items. I don't know where that would be. I can't see a... Oh, we can't get over there and get the scroll that's in the lava. That's what it is. The sales sometimes are so good, Gale Wolf, that I just can't resist them. It works out for me pretty well anyway, because I like to play old games. You can pick a whole lot up for cheap. Okay. So we basically are finished here. To make sure we got everything we want, though, we can press Control F for find, just like search on a web browser. And to search for items on a given floor, like D1, you'd press D for dungeon, :1. That's the floor we're on. It's the only floor we've been on, so you really wouldn't use that command. If you just want to search the floor on the floor you're on for items, press the period key. Press enter. It gives us a complete list of everything that's on the floor. The scroll we can't pick up because it's inside the lava. And I don't see anything else I want, so we're good. Press escape. So We have survived D1. Haha. Let us go downstairs. Now, to go downstairs, you could walk manually over a staircase, or we can check where the staircases are by going to map mode, which is Shift X. And now we're going to press the greater than or less than. So greater than key, which is the shift period, will give us all the available stairs down. Less than gives us stairs up. So shift comma gives stairs up, only one, that's our exit. Shift period or greater than gives us stairs down. We want to choose the stairs. We don't want to choose this stair down, even though it's close to us. We could save a few turns. You don't need to worry too much about turns, unless you're playing turn count, which that'd be an advanced thing. The reason is because this stair and this stair don't have a lot of open space around them. If you have to come back upstairs and there's a bunch of crap around you, you might get trapped and you might die. So this is definitely the stair to choose. So once we have it selected, press enter. The character will go there in the least number of turns. And let's see. We press shift period to go downstairs. Turns out this was a terrible stair to go down because we have our new top tier threat for D2, the adder. This guy is very evasive. It's the green snake there. No, not that. The snake. This has killed many adventurers. It looks dangerous. It's cold-blooded, but it's fast and swims quickly. It's small, and it may attack to cause poisoning. It says it's troglodytic, but just because we worship Trog, it's I guess a different Trog. So he cares not one whit. There's various ways we could deal with this. One of them would be to just go right back upstairs, and that's going to be what we do. So we just go upstairs. Whenever you go downstairs on a new floor, it is always your turn. So use that to your advantage. We're going to exclude this staircase by pressing X for examination mode and E for exclusion twice. And you see the exclusion is only the staircase. So now we're going to press Shift G greater than to go choose another stair. This one has a worm. Now, these hit really hard, but they're very slow. It says here very slow. So the strategy with these is usually to just smack them, and if they start giving you grief, walk away because you're faster than they are. It's one of the few dungeon monsters you're faster than. But we're just going to swing on him, get out of map mode. We're just going to swing, hope for the best because we're, big burly Minotaur. Minotaur. Take care of the rat. Butcher the rat. Okay, we have a ring. That could be very good, but it could also be very bad. If it's very bad, it's cursed also, and that means that it will give us all kinds of trouble. Now we're going back toward the adder, which is probably not smart. So let's go this way. We'll wait till we know for sure that we have remove curse before we try that ring. Let's see. All right. So we just killed this newt, or gecko rather, by walking up around the corner. Again, strength of the Minotaur. Every third level, you get to choose which of your attributes goes up. Our strength is pretty high. If you just choose strength every time, that's not a bad strategy. But I like to get my dex up to about 12 and then go strength the rest of the way. So we're going to choose dex like that. Yeah, there's more armor there. That's right. We don't need it, though, because it's less than... it's worse than what we've got. So you got to resist the urge in this game to hoard things, which is hard for me. You guys have watched me play Fallout. It's hard for me to resist the urge, but in this game, there's no point in hoarding. You can't sell things in this game. There are shops where we can buy stuff, but you can't sell anything. So, alas, hoarding doesn't do anything good for us. Let's stay away from where the adder is, please. The adder was awake, so he could wander in at any moment. There's certainly an argument for going and waking the adder, or not waking the adder up. There was an argument for taking on the adder right away, because then he'd be done with, you know. There's a spear, a very good weapon, because they can be evoked to attack one tile away from you, but we're an axe man, so we're not going to worry about that. Here is some scale mail. That is one tier lower than the chainmail, so we're going to leave that there, but that would be good armor otherwise. It is rare to find the chainmail on D1, but not it's not unheard of, because again, this is all procedurally generated. Here's a god altar. We already have a god, but if we did not have a god, this would be a pretty good one to choose. This is Ashen Zari, the cursed god, a crystal altar which shattered to pieces when Ashen Zari was cursed. There's still a great power remaining within it. A dark aura holds the shards in mid-explosion, suspended in time and space, much like the god they herald. Pray here to learn more. We're not going to do that because we have a god. But basically, Ashen Zari gives you more power the more cursed you are. So you want to use curse scrolls to curse equipment and you know, fuse it to you so that you can gain more power. Extremely powerful. She will boost your stats. She will also... I'm actually going to back up a little here. She will also let you gain knowledge of the future. Very, very good god. Or goddess in this case. We killed the bat with the rock. Or no, we didn't. We got it with the headbutt. Holy crapoli. Okay, this is bad. This is what's called a unique monster. You see, it has a name. This probably killed more adventurers than any other monster in the game. Sigmund the Dreaded, the elder of a pair of brothers. Edmund is the other brother, not nearly as dangerous, but still a threat. No one knows what Sigmund saw in the dungeon to drive him mad, but his shrewd magical tactics and wicked scythe now leave little time for his victims to wonder. Despite his reputation as a vicious murderer, his grandiose and dramatic ways have earned him the admiration of many denizens of the dungeon. So, crap AC, crap magic resist, but he's got 2 pips of EV, and this is our first monster we've come up with that has magic. And as Gelwolf has pointed out, the knowledge of the impending death. Oh gosh, you're so right. As Gelwolf has pointed out, coin flip for Confuse. Now, Confuse is the problem with this monster. You see there, 53%. If you look down here at his spells, we could press these letters and it'll tell you what they do, but they're pretty self-explanatory. Throw flame, throws a little blob of fire at us from a distance. Magic dart, if you know D&D, you know that one. The danger of magic dart is it always hits. Doesn't always do damage, but it never misses. He can go invisible, which sucks. But the most lethal threat here is that he has 53% chance to confuse us. Why is it so high? Well, if we look at our character by pressing Shift 5, we see that our magic resistance is zilch. We don't have any. So the more MR you have, the more, or the less likely it'd be that he'd be to confuse us. So as HP has said, we run. We don't have a wand. We have nothing really. We back away from this threat. And this is actually probably a floor skip, because we have like next to nothing to help us win this. We could go berserk and probably beat him, but this game does not deal in probablys, okay? We go back up. We exclude that off. We go down the last staircase, which is convenient because it's right here. We can just dive down to the next level. If we weren't a big, strong Minotaur, I'd be worried here, but I'm not. So we're just going to swing on these things. Press tab to automatically attack, by the way. Remember that. It can get you killed, but it's also useful to know. Butcher everybody up. Go back to the staircase. Rest. Well, actually, no. Normally, I would test read some scrolls here, but we don't want to have to go back up because Sigmund. So we'll wait. What am I doing? Okay. This is dangerous because we don't have the curing potion identified yet. So we're going to go berserk to get rid of this adder by pressing A. You want to wait till the monster is one tile away from you before you do this. Because again, if you're not swinging, berserk ticks down real fast. And it could immediately end even. So press A for abilities, A for berserk. And you see the red film seems to cover your vision as you go berserk. You feel yourself moving faster. You feel mighty. You feel quite a bit more hungry. So here it says berserk over here in the top right corner. Excuse me. Once you berserk, combat is the way it normally is. You just swing at him, we miss, and we get him. And, excuse me, normally going berserk would be like way overkill for just an adder. Hey, we got a point of dodging. That's great. Our EV is now 9. Very good. However, it only costs food, and we have 3 chunks. So it doesn't cost piety or anything like that. And we're hungry. We're just going to press 5 to wait this out. We are now slow and exhausted. Do not engage monsters until those have both timed out, if at all possible, of course. We're going to press 5 again until they go away. Okay, here comes a orc with a trident, which is not great. We're actually going to quiver the tomahawks by Shift Q and then J, and then we're going to hit him in the head. And hopefully the exhaustion will time out. Okay, he's using the polearm evocation, which means he's reaching. We're just going to go in and swing. That was dangerous, but we made it happen because we're a big, strong MiBe. Butcher the orc corpse. Pick up our tomahawks. Gold. We have 89 gold already. That's good. All right. Hopefully we'll find maybe some MR sources. All right. CHP. Probably already gone. I missed the message. Yep. I feel okay swinging on them. Here's a sling. Could be cursed. I'll pick it up. I'm not going to try it on because if it's cursed, we'll be stuck slapping guys in the face with a sling. If we run out of ammo, which we only have 56 rocks. Well, that's not so bad. Let's change back to quivering the rocks, by the way. But you don't want to risk being stuck with a cursed sling on your hand. It's not good. You can't go berserk. Berserk doesn't have a ranged option, really. One way you can manipulate baddie movement is if I move backwards, he's very likely to show up right next to me. You see? And then you swing. That usually works. Doesn't always. Let's see. Let's maybe check this way. Goblin. Hobgoblin. The door, notice here, the door creaks loudly. Sometimes opening a door is risky. Other monsters can hear that from several tiles off. And we got him. In this case, it was okay. Here's a jackal pack. Very dangerous on D1, but here we're fine. Back down into a hallway so only one of them can get you at a time. And just smack them. Not a threat for a 3rd level Minotaur Berserker. Okay. In this situation, you see how I just kind of walked into the more open area? That opens up the most tiles. Thanks, Galewolf. And again, knowing what's around you and having an opportunity to back off He is worth its weight in gold. This is a quokka. Very fast, very dangerous animal. Not the cuddly, cute things they are in real life. So watch out for quokka. If you're playing a caster, super duper, watch out for quokka. Oh my gosh. Okay. We're going to back up. We're going to go berserk on this guy again. Well, it's not the same one. He caught up to me, but that's okay. We got him. We're going to butcher him. We're going to go down here and wait off the exhaustion. Now, another reason why taking on adders is not so bad right now is we've got a new god ability. If you look at the upper right corner where it says Minotaur of Trog in yellow, we have now 2 pips of piety, which means if we go to the ability screen, we now have an ability called Trog's Hand. If we press exclamation point and then B, we can read about it. It says invokes a powerful regeneration ability which stacks with all other sources and is effective even on those who would not otherwise be able to regenerate. While active, the user will also be granted significant protection from hostile enchantments. Costs a little bit of hunger and a little bit of piety. This is very useful in very specific situations. So it gives us the regen, which helps offset the poisoning in case we get poisoned, which can make all the difference in an adder fight. But it also gives us 2 pips of magic resistance. This means we have a tool to use against Sigmund. I still don't want to go back up and face him right yet because their positioning was terrible. And positioning is everything in this game, very much like chess. You can think of this as kind of like a hybrid between D&D and chess. And there's a wand, which might also give us a chance to deal with Sigmund. I'm going to berserk again just for super safety. Chop him up. Press a Shift C to shut the door. We're going to wait it out. Wait it out. And we are auto-eating some of those chunks. I feel like it's good to go berserk as much as you want, as long as there are chunks of flesh. When you get into getting into your rations, then it's a little bit sketchy. That's from the adder fight. I think that blood there. What kind of wand do we have here? Ice Blast. One cool thing about this version of the game, the wands are identified the type of wand, but the number of charges is not when you pick them up. In older versions, you had to just use a wand to see what it did. Ice Blast is very good against enemies that have no AC, like Sigmund. I'd love to fight Sigmund's brother first, but there's no guarantee that he will be in the game, because the uniques are pulled from a table at random. He shouts. There's no shouts back, so we can just stand here and pelt him. Cut him up. Very brutal. All right, the bat. One step back, the bat comes to us. We swing. He's dead. Throw a rock. Swing. Doopy-doo. I feel like auto-exploring because I'm just a big boss hog. This is a ball python. They can't poison you, but they can constrict you, which limits your movement and also cause a little bit of damage. Here's some poison needles. If we find a blowgun, we might be able to use those to poison some fools. Ah, yes. We hope that we don't get really bad uniques, but it's possible. We just gained 13 more poison needles. Holy moly. There are some terrible ones. I'm playing a little fast and loose here because, again, Minotaur. We're hungry. I'll eat a chunk of flesh and make it go away. Okay, we'll auto-explore here. Because the floor is almost completely explored, I feel safe doing that. We'll walk up and smack that guy, even though normally you wouldn't walk up to enemies. All right, let's go get Sigmund. Let's go up. And we'll just charge him down. Not a problem. We've got enough AC. Let's not berserk this time. Hey, we got him. Armor skill increases to 3. We didn't get a point of AC that time, but that's okay. We really want to get rid of Sigmund because he is causing us to hang on to scrolls that we really don't want to hang on to. Let's see. Here's where you can just use the mouse. We need to hunt him down. So we can just click somewhere on the floor and we'll go there. There he is. Okay. So I'm going to throw up Trog's hand. And we're going to step forward once, twice, and we're just going to swing. Okay, we're going to go berserk. That was a slight misplay. I should have gone berserk immediately, but I felt like rolling the dice and we saw what happened. You're right. Some runs are definitely cursed, Gale Wolf, and this game has a habit of that happening very, very often. This is a tough as nails game. Win rate on this is very, very low. Okay, so let us go down. So with this floor's finished. That goblin was almost certainly a back spawn. Let's go down one more. You know what? We did not check the floor. I don't see anything I need. Okay. Yeah, that's the thing. Like, you can have a beautiful run and the abyss will just ruin it. We need to go back up right now. A centaur is a top tier threat. An orc is not. We need to be able to control the centaur. Hey, that's perfect. When a centaur is next to you, he will not shoot the bow. We can swing on these, I think, and be fine. Otherwise, you see how much experience he was worth. We're going to go Dex again. The archery skill of centaurs is just insane. We could pick up that bow and do some damage with arrows, but I think we're just going to stick to axes and evocations. At this point, I'm going to turn dodging off and evokes on. Evokes, we have a -1 aptitude, but Ice Blast is so good. The one wand we have is so good that it's worth having a little skill because we don't want to waste it. Now that we're on an upstairs on an unexplored floor, we want to do some scroll reading. Now, we would have done this earlier, but Sigmund kind of messed it up for us. Press R to read. We're going to start with the 5 stack on letter L. And it's a scroll of identify. If this was an older version of crawl, we might get lucky, and this would allow us to identify 3 things and not 1, but in this version, we only get 1. So out of all the things on this list, you press the space bar, you get a list. We can identify all this stuff. We could identify the ring, so we would know whether or not it was cursed or not. That's certainly an option. We could identify the wand. We know it's a wand of Ice Blast, but we have no idea how many charges it has left. We also don't know the maximum number of charges. So that's definitely a maybe. But we really need to know, most of all, a way of getting rid of poison. So that means a curing potion. Now we have 4 potions with 2 stacks. I'm going to go ahead and identify K, hoping it's curing. It's brilliance, which is next to useless for us. That's the kind of potion you would quaff if you're a caster and you want to cast a spell that's just too difficult for you normally in an emergency situation. But it's good to know we have that potion. At least now we won't accidentally drink it in a panic situation, knowing, hoping it would save us, and it won't. So let's read another one of these identify scrolls and go with the O for the 2 stack of sedimented pink. Just so you know, these random letters on the scrolls and the description of the potions, those change from game to game. So sedimented pink is not always going to be curing in every game. There's always going to be sedimented pink potions in every game, but what they do changes from game to game. We got beneficial mutation. Holy crap. And we have 2 of them. That is a huge find. This is one of the potions that I miss the most in newer versions of Crawl. I love this. It adds a lot of soul, adds a lot of flavor to the game that otherwise is not there. So we're going to, whenever you find potions of beneficial mutation, you drink them right then. So we're going to press Q to quaff and O to quaff. Well, you know what? Let's see what it says about it first by going to the inventory and right-clicking. A potion which grants a supposedly good mutation. It's usually good. So quaff. Oh. Your teeth lengthen and sharpen. You feel fantastic. If we press Shift A, now it says you have very sharp teeth, which means that gives us yet another auxiliary attack. So in addition to the horns and the reflexive headbutt, we now have sharp teeth, which means we could bite fools. This is great. Streamer luck. Quaff O. Resistant to heat. That's also extremely good. Oh my God, that's good. We just hit the lottery. So good. I can't believe how good that is. My goodness. Okay, you press Shift 5%. We go in here. We have innate resistance to fire, 1 pip. This is huge. There's no downside. You're just straight up resistant to fire. Very important later in the game, toward the end, when we're down trying to get the orb, you get these monsters called orbs of fire, which are just the most terrible thing ever created by man. And guess what? They use fire attacks. They also can mutate you, but we're RF. We have 1 pip of RF plus. So this is good. And we also have Fangs 1. So we did good there. We got 2 of the better mutations you can get. Wow. I feel like a champ. In fact, let's read this 3 stack of scrolls while we're here also. E. Scroll noise. Clanging noise. You hear a shout times 15. Now that gives us some important information. That means there are 15 monsters that heard that noise, meaning they're nearby, that are capable of shouting. Okay, the things that don't shout are like frogs or rats or giant cockroaches or newts or slugs, things like that. So this means these are higher level threats. This means there are goblins, hobgoblins, orcs, that kind of thing. Since we're on D4 and there were 15 of them, I'm thinking it's likely that Robin's Goblin Pack is nearby. That's another Robin is another one of the uniques. So let's just wait. We'll press 5, see if anybody shows up. And lo and behold, my meta knowledge of the game pays off. And who shows up but Robin? Robin is a hobgoblin, but she is capable of doing this thing called Battle Cry, which will might the orcs, makes them much stronger. And she can throw the goblins behind you, preventing an escape. So if you're in a hallway and you're trying to back off from Robin, she'll just throw goblins behind you, blocking you off. But we're on a staircase. This is the best possible situation. We're just going to stand here and wait on her to come to us. Come on. There she is, throwing the mighted goblins behind us. We'll swing. And then we'll swing on Robin. This would be very dangerous on a caster or a level 1 Minotaur. All right, now here's a monster we need to be careful about. Worker ant. That can poison us. We still don't have curing. So the move here is to go berserk. Strike the ant first. We have an axe, so again, we're cleaving. So I'm going to press down to hit the hobgoblin below me. And you can see from the log that we hit all kinds of goblins. I'm going to step down to stop him from slinging. That also tells us something important in a minute. We got the floor coming down on us because we read the noise scroll. And luckily, the berserk wore off just as the last enemy died. We walk on the stairs. We get out of here because we're poisoned. But we're not lethally poisoned. So we'll just wait it off. Now we'll go back down. That was maybe a little risky. But given our character's level, I think we were okay there. Robin always drops a helmet. Sometimes it's enchanted, but we cannot wear a helmet because of the horns on our head. Let's butcher these corpses. And unfortunately, we don't know if this sling is uncursed. We know the club is uncursed because he had a club in his hand and he switched to the sling. But we killed him before he could switch back to his club. Enemies in this game, if you get into melee range, get right next to them, they will switch from their ranged to melee attack option unless they have the Master Archer tag. And there's only a few things that have that, none of which would be on Dungeon 4. I'm going to keep the Scrolls of Noise because in this game, this version of the game, they still have a use that we might need them for later, other than, bringing the dungeon down on us. Scorpion. This can poison us. It's evasive. We'll swing. If it starts looking bad, we'll go berserk. Not bad. Go back to the staircase. Oh my. Orc Wizard. We might want to go to a different staircase. Orc Wizard will have one of 3 books. Hey, HP, welcome back. You'll have book 1 with Magic Dart, Haste, Slow, which is terrible, 46% to slow us. Blink, which randomly teleports him to another tile that's within his line of sight. Or he might have book 2, Throw Flame, Magic Dart, Invisibility. Confused, this is the worst of the books for him to have. Seems like they have this book more often, but I could just feel that way because it's so bad. Or book 3, Throw Frost, Haste, Magic Dart, Cantrip, Throw Flame, and Invisibility. We don't know until he casts a spell. We're not going to give him a chance to cast a spell. We're going upstairs. Get out of there. Because we're poisoned. We're not going to go down there. That stair is tainted because of the Scroll of Noise, right? So we've still got critters coming down on us from that. Let's go down this one. Wow, that's not too far away. So let's go down the other one. The asterisk there on the stair means we haven't used that one. All right, this one's better. Yes, tremendous Dungeons and Dragons influence with this game. It's kind of like D&D meets chess in a lot of ways. This is okay because we're playing an old version of the game that does not have attacks of opportunity. So that means we can walk away from things. Water can be dangerous for us because it slows us down. So just keep that into account. It also speeds some enemies up. Like the adder will move and attack faster if it's in water. So never engage an adder or any snake for that matter in the water. We're hungry, but I'm going to wait until maybe we have some chunks. Very serpentine. Well, we're not slower than too many things, really. We're what's called speed 10, which means our movement takes 1 turn, usually, if we're not slowed or hasted. Most monsters move at speed 10, unless it specifically says they're fast. The worker ant is very problematic because it says here it is fast. This is a speed 12 monster, which it means that it actually takes 0.8 of a turn to move. We're going to back up to here. We're going to go berserk, standing on the up hatch. All right, now we're going to go up. The hatches are one way, so you see the hatch slam shut behind you. We're going to wait off. We need to eat. We're near starving. Let's eat some fruit. And let's go down. Which spell book do you have? Well, he's not wanting to. Well, he cast a spell. Which one was it? We still don't know, huh? Go up here, shut the door, wait him out, walk up, smack him. Are there 3 wizards or just 2? We're not getting confused. We still don't know what book he has. There we go. We're confused. So now we know. We're okay. All right, there we go. We didn't get a single corpse from that. Seems like when you're really hungry, you don't get any. It just seems like a rule. Yeah, see, we didn't get one there either. But what we do have here, apart from a beef jerky, which is nice to see, is a pair of gloves. So we'll pick them up, we'll wear them. And that gives us an extra AC. I'll never say no to. I know I'm near starving. Come on, snake. Darn it. I'll eat the beef jerky. We'll all back toward the hatch. Okay. There we go. We got us some chunks. Notice this dagger is blue. We know it is a dagger of venom. Normally this would be unidentified. But he must have hit us at one point and it poisoned us very briefly. So we know it's a dagger of venom. This is actually a very good thing to find, even though we're an axe guy. I'm going to pick it up and I'm going to wield it with lowercase w, press Z. I'm going to press equals to move those letter designations around. So we're going to adjust I for items. We're going to change the Z for the dagger to A. And we're going to press equals I. And we're going to press the Z for the X to be B. Now when we press the apostrophe key, we switch between A and B in our inventory. So we switch from the dagger back to the axe. So we have this great desire to switch back to the axe. We will. Early game venom is super useful. It's a +0, but it's still pretty good. I don't see anything I want, so it's time to go down again. Now there is a runed leather armor. That means it could be enchanted very nicely, or it could be cursed -3. We just don't know. There's also our first spell book. Remember, we're not going to be using spells. Trog would get very mad at us. But what I want to do here is read some of these 2 stacks of scrolls. D is scroll of recharging. That's for our wand. We still don't know how many charges it has, but now we know it has more than it did. We're going to read S. Remove curse. Okay, so now we can find a capital P to put on this ring. And it's a ring of sustain attributes, which, you know, is okay. Not the greatest ring we could have found, but it does protect us from draining. Loss of strength, dex, and intelligence. We're just not going to run into any threats that might do that, really, to speak of. We're also going to try out the sling. It's a +0. Okay, so what we're going to do now is we're going to go Z equal I. We're going to put the sling on B. That way we can use the sling as our ox weapon. Well, maybe you'll love this HP, since it's a fusing of 2 things that you both love and hate. Who knows? I'm going to walk back here. Leather armor is typically going to be worse than the chainmail. We've got remove curse, so if it's cursed, we'll just get rid of it. But we're going to wear it just to see what it is. Oh, it's cursed +0. Oh, how crappy. We're going to read remove curse, S, and then we're going to wear our chainmail again. We're going to drop O. There we go. We're good to go. Now, the spell book. We burn spell books. A way a spell book burning can be useful is you drop the book in a single tile width hallway, set it on fire, and they now stand behind the fire slinging the monsters. They're not going to walk into it. If they do walk into it, it causes big damage. I just sling them like crazy and they die. So don't just burn the spell books when you find them. You save them for tactical advantage. This is the Ecumenical Temple. If we did not already have a god, we'd be super happy to see this. You go in, pick yourself a god. There's plenty to choose from. All right. But we're worshiping Trog, which is the god you worship when you want to win. Reliably as possible. I made a big mistake there. We walked toward the ant. We're both now poisoned. Dagger venom coming into play. Walk back toward the stair. Wait out the poison. Switch back to the sling. HP's busted out the Latin on us. We just slinged him down because we could. We'll butcher him. Go back to the... Don't use bows or slings when you're in melee range. It's you get a penalty. Oh, we got him in one hit. How about that? And that's with no training. We could train the sling, but we're already training evokes. Let's see how that's coming along. Not real strong with a -1 aptitude, but you know, it's not too bad. We'll get there. We still only have one wand. All right, I'm actually going to try down here first. Ah, very good we didn't step on that trap. That's an alarm trap. That would have put a sentinel's mark on us, and then the whole dungeon would knew where we were, and they would have come down here and caused a problem. And we would have been trapped in that little room probably, and we probably would have splatted. There we go. So far, so good. More beef jerky. Gotta have. We're very hungry. We'll do a little risk of auto exploring there. You must be patient, grasshopper. See, I'm walking away from the wall there to give myself a little bit more line of sight. You don't want to be surprised by a monster being right, you know, against the wall. We have some gold now. Again here, same thing. Ah, a sky beast. These can go invisible on you. That's going to be the biggest problem here. We'll use the venom to our advantage. When he goes invisible, just walk away. He's speed 10. The poison takes him out. Now, here's where you can play a little bit of roulette. This meat will cause random mutations. Now, some of them are good, some of them are bad. We're not going to eat mutagenic chunks today. But if you wanted to, you could. You're not guaranteed beneficial mutations like we had with the potion. Fair enough, HP. That's probably a pretty decent description. All right. Crimson Imp. Not really a problem for us. They like to blink around all over the place. Let's get rid of this. Cockroach. Let's just go after him. Usually, that's the thing to do with Crimson Imps if you're a big bad Minotaur. Bone Ring. We still have a remove curse, so let's put that on with capital P for put. The B, Ring of Magical Power. This gives us double mana essentially. Rounded up. Not necessary for us, but we just won't take it off. I mean, whatever. We'll find another ring later that will be better. Should be switching back to the sling every time to be 100% optimal. Use great caution in these floors like this that have these white walls like this and all these little like interior rooms, because a lot of times out of depth, i.e. very, very terrible monsters, will lurk in floors like this. They like to spawn in these types of areas, so be careful. You know, don't do what I'm doing. And auto-exploring all over the place. If I was not playing a Minotaur Berserker, I probably wouldn't be doing that. Yes, let's check the floor. Nothing good. There's a quarterstaff. Not a bad weapon, but again, we're an axe guy. You hear the hiss of flowing sand. This is what's called a portal vault. In this case, it's an ossuary. It's going to be full of potentially helpful scrolls and potions. And a lot of undead. But it's timed. It's a timed entrance vault. So let's read this other 2-stack. It could be magic mapping. It's not. It's enchant weapon. We'll enchant the sling, because the dagger and the hand axe are not long for this world when it comes to our inventory. What's the other 2-stack? Tell me it's not blinking. Amnesia. If you're a mage, you want to get rid of a spell, you read that. In Telly, we go back up. It's a random teleport. You don't want to randomly teleport on a new floor. Oh, crapola. This is bad. I'm going to Zerk, and we're going to hope for the best. Ooh. That's how a back spawn can mess you up. Wow, we almost splatted right there. Okay, one strategy to kind of find these vaults is to try every stair. We desperately need a better axe, is what we need. Very distant, so it's probably not this way. It'll give you clues every now and then. Do not lose your head and play too fast. Just trying to get into a portal vault. It's easy to do. Oh. The hound can be a little bit of an issue. We got some exploding tomahawks. No, poison tomahawks. Those are good. Take those. Distant. I'm usually not very good at finding these. I'll just tell you. For the sake of time, we'll hope for the best. We can come back and pick these things up. Very distant. Let's go back up this way. Nearby. And it's rapid, means it's almost done. Here it is. Here it is. Huzzah, we found it. All right, see you, Gale Wolf. Have a nice one. These are dangerous because they're full of undead and their weapon has venom on it. So we don't need to use it in here because it sucks. We'll go back to our axe. Venom ain't going to do you no good in here, man. Scrolling noise. Okay. Mummies. Wait on them. Chop them down. Back up. Trog's hand. To get the regen going. Go in here. You're at the door. Rest. Alrighty. There's going to be a monster behind every door. And some of these zombies are kind of hard to hit. See that? That's some invasion right there. My God. Okay, HP. I think we're probably going to wrap the stream up in about 15 minutes anyway, because that'll be the 2-hour mark. Thanks for letting me know. All right, here's a bunch of potions and Wonderful things. Identify. We like to see that. These zombies are worth quite a bit of experience too. Let's see. So we're 17% of the way to level 9. We'll kill this centaur zombie. Or 21% now. So not bad. Unfortunately, we don't have a lot of ID'd potions. But most of this stuff is probably useful. Find nothing. Okay. Let's take the portal back out. Okay. Thanks, man. So that'll be 3 p.m. my time. I'll be wrapping up. All right. Book of Power. That would be an awesome book if we were a caster, because if we go I and then look at R, that has IMB, Ascendant's Mystic Blast. That's an awesome spell. Iron Shot, awesome. Also awesome. Big damage there. Orb of Destruction, huge damage. Single school spell. And Spellforged Servitor, that's a game winner right there. But again, we're a big brute of trogs, so not gonna put up with that. Let's auto explore. We've done a lot of the floor. We should be okay. Don't step on that. No. Sometimes you can trigger those, you know, accidentally, like we did that one teleport trap. Holy crap. Wait a minute. That's a I just tabbed into a wyvern zombie. This is a Zerk for sure. That is a very high level threat. We need to eat. Wow. Also out of depth. I think we have time to do one more floor. Let us read ID some more scrolls. Random uselessness. Those don't do anything, as you might expect. We're gonna read D and hope it's not blinking. All right, it's fog. Oh, the butterflies came from scroll of uselessness. Okay. Fair enough. It might also be an idea to identify some potions, because we still don't have curing. We had 15 degen. Those all came from the ossuary, guaranteed. Those do squat all. Read L. F. Lig. That turns you into a tree. Gives you huge AC. That's good. But you can't move, of course. J. It's probably going to be curing. It is curing. R. L. Q. Mutation. That's a random mutation, not necessarily beneficial. In fact, almost guaranteed to not be beneficial. We don't need to be auto-exploring. Smack my hand for that. Shadow Imp. Very hard to see. Phantom, they blink around, but you know, other than that, at this point in the game, not a big deal. Got another wand. That's good to see. Wand of Flame. We'll encounter electric eels later, probably. And the electric eels are easy to deal with because flame interacts with water quite well. You know, it has a negative synergy, at least as far as the eel is concerned. And a puff of steam comes up and cooks them. So sometimes one hit is enough to get rid of them. All right, so the ogre is an issue. Back up to this little hallway of death here. Wait on the phantom to come. Smack him around. I accidentally drank a potion of magic somehow. I fat-fingered the keyboard. That's what I did. Is the ogre going to come around? I'm going to holler out by pressing T, shout. You shout for attention. We don't hear any shouts back. So he's not on his way. We'll go down here. Again, with a MiBe, auto-exploring is pretty good. Glowing Scale. Scale is one step down from Chain. I'm going to get it. I'm going to wear it, see what it is. Cursed +0. Well, I'm actually going to leave it on for just a minute because it's not that bad. We'll see if we find anything else we might want to try out that might also be cursed, like, hey, this ring. We're going to put it on. Take off. Oh, Ring of Ice is good, but it also makes you vulnerable to fire. So we're not going to wear that. Another book. A wasp. This is trouble. You see, the whole poison and cause paralysis thing, that's the trouble. We're going to throw up Trog's hand. We're going to berserk. You cannot be too careful. Let's go ahead and get another point in dex. We're at 12 dex, which is good there. We need to eat. I'm going to wait off all the bad stuff. Here you go. Here's a sling target. Nice. That's why you use the sling. In fact, we're out of the ossuary now. We could use the dagger again. Cut him up. You get a lot of chunks from a big boy like an ogre. All right. Shout here to get everybody's attention. Switch to Dagger of Venom and just proceed to poisoning the crap out of them. And it's a little kobold pack. No named leader there, but every now and then you run into kobold packs. Orc Priest, very high level threat. They can smite you from range for 17 damage a pop. But, you know, we're a big bad guy, so not a big problem. Dagger of Speed, that means you just attack quickly without any skill. Hey, we got confused again. What, imagine that. Vamp Dagger, not good because it's a low base damage weapon. If we were a Centaur, we would have just hit the lottery because that barding gives you AC, and normal armor doesn't fit a Centaur very well. Okay, so that was an eventful floor. You see our power level is coming up because we are able to move more quickly now. Evokes is up to 3.8. I'd like to get that to 4. We've read a lot of Remove Curse. I really kind of hate to do this, but I am going to get out of this armor because the guaranteed damage reduction is such a big deal. We stumbled into a teleport trap. And here we have an ogre and skeleton. What kind of skeleton are we looking at here? Wyvern skeleton. Are these fast? They are fast. Thank you. We're going to wield the axe because of cleaving. We're going to Zerk. We take him down. Then we're going to wait. I'm going to eat. And we're good. I'm keeping those scrolls of noise for something very specific later. Let me change something. Let's change U back to A. And now we switch between axe and sling. It's just auto explore. That's an ant zombie. They can't poison you, so don't worry about that. Yikes, that's a troll. Let's head back to the staircase. Switch to the axe and Zerk. Are we going to get a troll leather armor? We are. We get the troll hide, which you can use a enchant armor scroll on, and it'll turn into wearable armor. Here we go again. Orc warrior, very powerful orc, and he has a pole arm, which means he hits us from distance, which means we get the heck out of here. We go up. Only the bullfrog followed us, which is good. We're going to exclude the staircase. Get the old back spawn and orc. And we've dropped down right in the front of Hell on Earth. We have a ogre. We got a water moccasin. And we got a kobold pack. No, thank you. Let's find out what's behind door number 3. A phantom. And a bunch of ants. And we have a worker ant here, or a soldier ant here, which tells us there's an ant nest. This floor is hellish and awful in every way. And I think this is a pretty good cliffhanger. So I think I'll end the stream here. HP and Galewolf. I know Galewolf's already gone, but thank you both for hanging out with me today. And anyone else who's been watching and not hanging out in the chat with us, thank you as well. Andrea Mancini, thanks for dropping by also. We'll do some more dungeon crawl probably next Thursday. Remember, Friday is my day off, so there'll be no streams on Friday, but we'll be back together for Skyrim Saturday at noon Eastern. This is an awesome cliffhanger. Don't bite your nails off until we meet again. Thanks, everybody. Have a great day.